Just a little bit of it. Don't spoil it too much. I'll shut up. Look at that. I like the guitar.
When you chopped off your hair, cross my fingers, you're a player. You know what I mean. Couldn't blame it on the drinks.
Is that you singing?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Not before we were teens, keeping eyes to me. And my hands tied separately. Our giggles low key.
I think
That's
that's
all
pretty
y'all
good.
get.
I think that's pretty good. You're gonna have to. Perfect. Let me just put these on, make sure everything's good, and then we get started.
Works for me.
You go by Sam.
Yeah.
That works out.
Sam is perfect.
Oh shit.
But hopefully I'll have a couple nicknames by the end of this.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We'll figure out something.
We'll see how good we do with that. All right. So let's do a little mic check. You wanna talk?
1 2 1 2.
One,
Mic
two.
check.
There you go. You sound great.
Oh,
Perfect.
awesome. Your little countdown.
Awesome. So, do we maybe do a little bit of a cheer to get
Oh
started?
yeah.
I'll get my mango
Pop one up.
Oh.
There you go. So,
Thank you for coming, Sam.
Oh, thank you for inviting
so
me.
much for coming. We are super excited to have you.
Oh,
Let's
I'm
do a
glad to
little
hear
bit
that.
of a.
Yeah, cheers.
There you
to
go.
the cheers.
Cheers to you. And then we'll get into what you do and everything afterwards. I don't want to spoil anything yet.
No, not yet.
White claws are just so good, bro.
Yeah.
I
They're a
love
very
White
just
Claws.
casual drink.
Everybody gives me shit about drinking White Claws, and I'm like, dude, just leave me alone for a moment, okay?
you're like, I need examples of why I can't drink these. Like,
Exactly.
what's wrong
They're
with them?
sweet and they're just like they taste good in my opinion, of course.
I mean, no, they're pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's a good little like. I don't want to drink hard alcohol, so I'm just gonna drink a White Claw.
Exactly.
It's easier on your stomach and
Right.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
for you. You're
Because
health
when
conscious.
you do shots, it's just like it hits you,
Yeah.
you know. It's like somebody punched you in the
Your
face.
throat is like burning right after. Yeah,
You
it's
know what I
rough.
mean? So, all right, well, welcome everybody once again to another episode of For Creatives by Creatives.
Episode 20.
Episode 20.
20.
gosh.
So
Yeah.
that's
a good one.
exciting. And
We're
for
getting
this one, we have a very special guest. We have well, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself actually.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
that's the pressure
I
on.
know, yeah, it's getting.
So you tell us who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it.
Well, I am Sam Lowe, but my stage name is Elucyd. And-
Elucyd?
Elucyd.
Yes.
Okay.
I
yes,
like it.
for music. That also carries into all my different studio endeavors, which includes videography and photography. But first and foremost, I would say musician is my path.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, so I've been doing music for a long time, but this is going to be my first debut album released on March 30th.
Tell us a little bit about that. So
Congrats.
you're releasing a new album. Is this gonna be your first album?
It is, yes. The first one released I have like 8 albums worth of content that I just sit on.
Didn't put out.
So you're
really?
actually like putting one together now and releasing it?
Oh
Yes,
wow!
thanks to the quarantine, because I was like, this is too much. I need to
Yeah.
put something out.
Is that
Yeah.
right? Is that what happened? Oh
so
my
everything
god!
was put together in a year, and a lot of it was remote.
Oh wow.
Oh okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are you working with different people for this? Are you yes? Who are
Yes.
some of the people that you're working with?
Well, there's always Tom Gordon, and he's over in Emirage in Sparks. He's great. He did a lot of the producing and the mastering, but we have Daniel Yosefat or Daniel Echo doing producing and vocals on one. We have Sydney or my friend Gavin doing vocals on another. We have a producer called Land Party. Just tons of good stuff. I'm very
Nice.
excited. And
Right.
then the guy who makes a lot of the instrumentals is Jordan Maravelli. So
Okay.
yeah, he's here in Reno too. A lot of it.
Oh, wow.
Just all local people, mostly. So,
Isn't
yeah.
that amazing?
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Just how you
So
can,
fun.
build like a little community, right?
Yeah.
With all the creatives that you find like doing your thing.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of connect and do all of that,
How
right?
how many tracks, if you don't mind me asking?
13.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but there are
That's
two
quite a few.
experimental ones
Yeah.
in there. That
I think that's
yeah.
like a good in between though. Like it's not too many, but it's not like 4, you know?
Yeah.
So you're kind of like in
Right.
a sweet spot. I feel like most
I would agree with that.
music albums are like 10 to 13 songs. Like I think that's
Yeah.
a good amount as far as like any kind of album you listen to is always like within that range.
Can we give the
Yeah.
people like a little preview? I love your song Sticky.
Oh yeah.
And can we maybe play a little bit of it?
Absolutely.
I would love that.
And that's
you know?
actually on there. It's right in the middle. So
Right, so I'm just gonna play it to the mic. We'll put it like on the actual video. downtown, just listening to this.
I write everything in the car too.
Oh,
So that's
do you?
exactly where it's
Oh, look at that.
exactly what it's for.
Would you look at that? It's such a good song. Like, I first found out about you through my brother. You know my brother, and
Oh, yeah.
he, ever since he found out about you, he's like, oh, I know this one girl. He's amazing. She's amazing. She's amazing, right? I'm like, oh, let me see. Let me, what is, you know, let me find out. And I feel like I played that song first, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. It sounds just like the songs that you hear like on the radio and stuff like that. You know, like, whoa, this is crazy because you see a lot of talented people here. Is there like a lot of singers here in town that you know?
There are. I don't want to say that I'm kind of antisocial in that regard, but like I know a bunch of like band kids, you know, where it's like, or like audio engineering nerds.
Okay.
There you go.
You know, so like when it comes to like, there are some people that come out of Reno that are like really big comparatively, and I had never heard of them or ever met them before, which I love because it just shows that there are so many in this community that, you know,
Haven't necessarily gotten out there just yet.
Right.
exactly. I also think it kind of, I don't want to say protects the Reno vibe, but there's something about that's very the Reno environment. It's really special. It's this own thing that it has that I think that I really like the sound of a lot of people that come from Reno, but you know, meeting them, it's its own special little.
Right. Because
Yeah.
you don't see a lot of people, I don't think, doing the same thing that you do, right?
No.
I feel like it's different because with photography, you see a lot of photographers everywhere, you know, and it's still cool to meet them
Oh yeah.
and to just interact with the community. But especially with singers, you know, that you don't see a lot of them, I can imagine it being like, oh, whoa, like that's crazy. That's
It is,
something special. When did you release this song, the Sticky song?
Oh man, Sticky was released more than a year ago. Oh no. Yeah. Almost 2 years ago.
2 years
I'll
ago?
say.
Oh, wow.
This entire last year's a write-off.
Right.
I don't remember
It
any of
doesn't
it.
count, right?
I'm like 2019 was last year. 'Cause-
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like 2020 didn't exist.
No, it honestly doesn't. It's a blip. But yeah, so I think it was it 2018? Like May 2018? That's ridiculous.
Right.
I think I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong.
I'm like, that's like 3 years.
No, I think it was 2019,
Maybe.
like May.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you. This and
Right.
that. It just goes to show, though, like how has quarantine affected you guys? I feel like my brain's on the fritz.
I think when it was going on last year, I kind of had that sense of like losing track of time. But I mean, I think as far as like photography went, we were both really busy. I think we
Oh,
were,
yeah.
I was personally busier than I ever had last year. But then I was also putting my head into different projects that are like photo related, you know?
That would make sense.
That was kind of how quarantine went for me, of like being busy but then using all that time to like do something else that wasn't just taking pictures, if that makes sense.
Right.
It totally does.
So,
Yeah.
It definitely forced us to like move on to different areas of like photography. With him, he was making stickers, like Reno stickers, and those did really well, you know.
Yeah.
And me, that was kind of like my breakthrough, actually. You know, I started getting really busy from that.
He got
From
like
that,
the
yeah.
studio space, so he got more into studio, and then
Yeah.
you know, it was just. I think we've always said that there was two ways to go about the pandemic, and that was like, you can either be home miserable not doing anything, or you can use the time to like break out in something, which I think kind of happened, especially here. Saw a lot of people like pick up certain hobbies or like start really getting into something, whether it was like drawing or designing jewelry or like stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, I saw a lot of people like bringing their creative side out, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because it almost just took for us to be quarantined for people to come out with that.
Do you think that you would?
That's exactly
Yeah.
it.
Do you think that you would have made this album if it wasn't for quarantine?
I mean, it kind of like, I feel like the amount of time that we had to actually do what we wanted to do, we didn't have that kind of time just laying around before with I don't know. I feel like we wasted a lot of time before without really realizing how much time we spent on just going out and about and doing
Oh,
things.
yeah.
And then being faced with all of this extra time, you're like, "Whew, I got to do something with this.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
I have no excuse. It's like, oh, I'm so busy. I can't. You know,
Exactly.
no.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
I'm in my
that's
house.
a great
Sense.
point, because I feel like some people did struggle with the sense of not being able to go out anymore. Because a lot of people, that's like their lifestyle. You know, like they have a legit routine where, whether it's every Friday or Saturday, like I'm going to a bar, I'm going here, and I'm doing this. And then when they couldn't, they were like, so what do I do now? You know?
That's exactly it. Would you guys consider yourself more introverts or extroverts?
I think
Oh,
more
introverts.
Introvert?
Introverts,
Love
dude.
Creative introverts.
I mean,
Yes.
you have to be, no?
No, 'cause you
Don't
have
you
to
just have
be.
to be an introvert? That's
Yeah.
so crazy.
I think like we're extroverted with
That
like
is
people.
hilarious.
Yes.
Because our job is a very people job, but we're more introverted like outside of that. Like,
Well, so you'd be like a trained introvert. Where do you feel like you were more extroverted based on
That's a
like
good
necessity?
way to put it. I love that.
Where
yeah,
you're like,
'cause
yeah.
every time I go out to do a shoot or to do whatever, I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what I'm gonna do. Right? I'm training myself. You know, like I'm gonna not put on an act, but
But it is kind of.
kind of like that.
Cause like, do you feel tired when you're done? Where you're like, oh,
Dude,
okay.
I do.
Yeah.
I can only handle so much
Yeah.
social interaction before I just want to be editing for hours and days. You know what I mean?
Editing. Okay, that's a
Editing.
sign. If you like
Yeah.
editing,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can edit for days and not be bothered. You know?
Yeah, no, sometimes when I do stuff with a lot of people there, like if it's like a family or it's like a friend shoot, but there's like 6 people or something,
Oh yeah.
that can be kind of draining because you're like trying to socialize with 6 people at a time. And that's like a
divvying
lot.
it all up
Yeah.
in between every single
Like just
person.
before coming here, I went to do grad photos for 3 people.
I mean, look at him.
And
He's
it
just
was
all
like-
serious, like
I'm like,
tired.
yeah.
He's like, he ran out. He ran out of his social
it was like,
feel.
yeah, it was like hard to try to like
Exactly.
socialize with all 3 of them at the same time, like because you're trying to. They're all completely different people, so you're like trying to understand all 3 of them. Thankfully, I mean they're all friendly, but it was like
Yeah, but it's also hard, especially if you're directing them. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you're trying to be nice to them, keep them. You're balancing that, but you're also trying to. I don't want to say micromanage, but
yeah, you are
directing every single little
micromanaging,
thing.
yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm like, hey, your hair needs to go here, your hand here, like place your leg like that, and then you're like, okay, next person, and then next person, and it's like
Yeah.
you're swapping through all of them that much. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a great point of like being extroverted in situations we have to be. Like I'm definitely a people person. I wouldn't say like I meet someone and I'm not like gonna talk to them or like
Oh, yeah.
be that way. But I also enjoy my time to myself a
Yeah.
lot. Like
and I think that's just something more people need to have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you ever just sit with yourself and think, "Wow,
People don't get
I'm
that.
cool as hell."
like I'm chilling.
I like being in my own head.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fun.
Some people hate that, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a good way to grow. Just learn to be by yourself. I feel like that's very important, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got it.
We have it.
We
And
have it.
I think it's important as a creative.
I think it is
Yeah,
too.
I agree.
It
I
lets
agree
you
with that.
think about new things. It lets you like put your mind into something that you might have not put your mind into yet and be more creative, and it opens up like a lot of doors that if you don't really sit there on your own to think about, you don't really get it, you know?
Right.
Unless there's the
Yeah.
people around you are very like on the same boat, then
Yeah.
perhaps. But that's rare, I think.
It also depends. I mean, in those kind of situations, like, do you think as an artist you have to suffer for your art?
Yes and no.
That's a good
I feel
question.
like yes and no.
Did you prepare for this? You got a good question.
My brain's constantly. I'm like, it's because you guys
I
are
know.
here. You're saying it's important to have the right people. I'm like, okay, I have a
Right.
captive audience.
I
Like,
have to
I want
go.
to
Yeah.
pick your brain.
Jesus, that's a good question.
I
though.
think I don't know. That's a
I
That's
feel
a
like
tough
if
question.
if I really think about it, I do suffer being a creator just because of my own self like critique and being harsh on yourself sometimes. So that would be some sort of suffering. Like
Yeah,
you
because
really
it can be mentally draining.
down on yourself
Like,
sometimes.
Yeah, it's. I feel like any creative is gonna doubt themselves from time to time. Like no matter what, you can be.
Does that happen to you a lot?
I mean, the only reason this is coming out is because I said, "Oh, this is coming out on March 30th." I was like,
You can
no!
take it back.
I'm like, no, wait a second, hold on.
Once you put it out, you
It's
have
literally,
to,
like,
right?
ripped from my
Yeah,
chest.
right.
It's like a baby,
Like,
and I'm
no.
like, I don't want it to fall on its head, but also, fuck them kids.
You're like I have to release it, so.
It has to get out of here. It has to walk on its own. Yeah.
That's a good way to do things, though. You just put it out there, and then you have to do it.
Yeah.
And then you have to.
Because then
figure
once
it
you
out.
announce it, you're like, oh damn.
When did you
I gotta
announce
do
it?
Okay, so embarrassingly, I announced it a few times, but then we had to master it, and there was a COVID situation going on. So it was one of those things where it was a bummer. But because of that, I actually pushed it back 2 different times. But at that point I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put it on Bandcamp. Like, I'm not going to have a drop date. I'm just going to like put it out there and let people listen to it. But it got out there. And so it's actually being released on the day it said it would, which is a big accomplishment for me because I'm late for everything.
Right.
So, you know, I would
Works
say
out.
that might be a procractionator, like perfectionist trait. It's not
Right.
laziness.
A
I
little
put
of
a lot of time in.
everything.
But
Yeah, definitely not laziness because that takes a lot of hard work, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
But is it just, are you going to be able to stream it? Are you going to have actual copies? What's the deal with that?
So, very exciting stuff, actually. So, it will be on the 30th on all streaming platforms, and I am going to put it on Bandcamp and SoundCloud. However, I will also be making physical CDs and vinyls of it. So,
Sweet.
if you like
I would
vinyls,
love one of those.
yes, I'm very excited
Yeah, I
about
like
that.
vinyls.
If you can get us
Vinyls
a
are cool.
vinyl, we'll love that.
Yes, and it'll be mixed properly, so it won't bounce the needle off
Oh,
of the
nice.
off of the
Yeah.
record.
Off of the record. Yeah.
And something else cool, because it kind of ties in, I love incorporating analog into digital. So because a lot of it is digital, as the album actually progresses, it becomes more and more analog, to the point where the very last track was mixed entirely analog with a 2-inch tape reel.
Oh,
And
wow.
so it didn't go through Pro Tools at all. There were no ones and zeros. Takes
I
a
don't know
lot
what
of
you're
work.
saying right now, but it sounds
No,
I kind of understand it.
Yeah.
I'm not like a musician, but I've researched music a lot, so I know what you're talking about.
let me tell you, I had no idea what I was doing.
Some cool shit. Some cool shit.
Because it was an 80s track. And so it was like synthwave. I didn't know any of this stuff. And then Tom was like, okay, this needs a something something. And I'm like, what's the something something? Like, let's do it. So
What,
now we have it.
though.
What
Yeah.
kind of vibe do you, or what type of music genre would you say like your music is, or is it just kind
God.
of whatever comes out? Yeah.
I mean, okay, so there's like, I don't even know, like alternative pop, but there is a rap track. There's an 80s pop track.
Okay.
There's
So
a
is it-
freestyle.
Is it just kind of like a mix?
Yeah, if you guys, I'm going to have you listen through it. And if you can tell me
Right.
what it is, I would really
From
appreciate
there?
it.
Okay. We'll listen to it and then give you like our breakdown after that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
oh, I would love that.
It kind of sounds
It
like
sounds interesting.
just a variety of music, which I think is cool. I think, I mean, people like a set genre of music. You know, there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. Like some people are like, oh, I like nothing but rap, or I like nothing but
Yeah.
80s music, and I like nothing but rock and roll, or whatever it is, you know. But I think a lot of times when you hear an album and there's like a little bit of everything, even like
Yeah.
some rap artists who, you know, they're a rap artist, but then they have like some melody songs in there. And they
Yes.
Yeah, I
have
love
something
it.
more calm, and you're like, that's kind of cool. Like, I
yeah.
enjoy that,
Like
you know?
Rich Brian. Do you ever listen to him?
Rich Brian's great.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
he blew my mind. My sister was showing me one of his tracks, and I'd listened to him because his stuff was on my gym playlist. And one day she said, "Okay, I'm gonna play you this song, and I want you to guess who this is." And I was like, "This sounds like Freddie Mercury. What? Who is this? Who is this?" She's like, "You're never gonna guess." And she said, "Rich Brian." I'm like,
You're like, what?
I want to do that to people. I want
yeah,
to be
yeah.
like, "Who do you think this is?" And
Yeah, like they can't just put you in one lane of like, oh, I know who that
Yeah.
is, you know?
Yeah, especially with Spotify and like the streaming services, we used to be bound. I feel like people had identities in the kinds of music they listened to, where if they could go into a record store, they're like, "Oh, this is my area."
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Now we're so single
Everything is
based.
so accessible.
I go from listening to rap and then I listen to a corrido, you know, like Mexican music.
Yeah,
like
dude, my music
Have you
variety
seen that
is
one
crazy.
meme where you have like, I think it's like Snoop Dogg or somebody, and then they're like shaking hands with like Chalino Sanchez,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the very
Like my
typical
music
Mexican
playlist.
guy, and they're just like, this is my
This is
Spotify
my music.
playlist.
Yep, yep.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
so funny.
Yeah, it just bounces like all over the
Right.
place. But I think you're right. Yeah, Spotify definitely opens the door of like people get into new music too, just because you don't have to have like the recommended songs or oh, you're listening to this artist, listen to this one, and then that just puts you in like in a chain of like, whoa, this artist is cool, and then this artist is cool, which is how I've found a lot of artists on Spotify, where I'm like listening to one, and then on the bottom it's like recommended, and I'm like, let's
Right.
check this out, and I'm like, yo, this song's kind of cool, and then it like just goes from there. I love Spotify for that reason. Like, or Apple Music too. I don't use it, but I know it's like the same way also.
Yeah.
Are you on
Yeah,
Apple Music or Spotify?
I'm Spotify.
Team Spotify.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hell
yes,
yeah, sweet.
I get into
We don't have to
arguments
kick you out
about
right
this.
now.
I make
We don't
fun
have
of
to kick
people.
you out.
Yes.
You can say.
Yes. Yes.
I went from like Apple Music fan, like I used to hate Spotify
Well,
before.
no, it's kind
wasn't
of
as
like
good as it
Twitter,
is now.
where you don't get it, and then all of a sudden you get it,
Yeah.
and then you're like, how did I ever?
Yeah.
How was I such a
Like
loser?
Spotify,
Yeah.
when I first got it a couple years ago, I was like, I don't really like this. It takes up a ton of space on your phone, like to save a song.
Yes.
And then Apple Music was the opposite, but they didn't have as much variety.
No.
So then I think I had Apple Music for a year and went back to Spotify, and ever since then I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not leaving. I'm like, Spotify
Yeah,
just
Spotify's
upgraded
great.
like
So much better.
hugely. Like their library of music, like you can find almost anything on there now, which is like really cool. So.
It's huge. And like, I was reading about how they made that happen. And it ties right into why artists don't get paid very much from Spotify. Like, I get paid a lot more from Apple Music and iTunes. But
Really?
Yeah, which,
Oh, wow.
if then I'm sitting here talking shit about Apple Music when I'm like, oh, thank you guys.
Yeah.
But the reason why is like, in order to get the licensing, that was the biggest part. Like, that's mostly what it is. So Spotify has to pay so much money to the record labels that exist, or else they wouldn't have access to that music. So I'm hoping that eventually they can kind of just, so now we have all these licenses, and then it's like, and then just slowly start paying them a little bit less, because like, instead of paying Ariana Grande like this much and Taylor Swift this much, they can just kind of start giving
To,
other
like, the smaller
artists,
platforms. Yeah.
yeah, based more on like on listens and not just
Oh,
lump
I see.
sum.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
have heard that actually, that some big artists are kind of like, yeah, I get all these listeners, but I'm not making that much from it. And I've always wondered how that works. So they pay the record deal then, like to
Yes.
access the music?
Yeah, so there are like 4 main record labels, and they're the big boys, and yeah, it's like Warner Bros. And Sony and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so they have that's one of the reasons why I plan on staying independent for the entirety of my career, because I don't see that being sustainable, and the relationships that musicians and record labels have is typically, it's not the best, and it's historically not the best. So in order to protect the integrity of the music, because I don't care, it would be cool if I could get paid, like a livable wage
Through a
making
record
art
label
and
stuff.
music.
Yeah.
But I don't want to sacrifice the art for it, because that's the only
Is that
reason
why
I'm
you
doing it.
think like sometimes artists get called like sellouts?
Oh, absolutely. And I don't blame sellouts, because you want to make a living.
Yeah.
You need to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't blame sellouts, especially because there's a time and place for that kind of art too. But it's just not the art that I personally like
Because I've seen like,
or want to make.
I think more in like, well, I think it happens in any genre of music, but more in like the rock and rap platforms, like that tends to be a big conversation where like an upcoming hip hop artist gets a good deal through a
Yes.
record label, and now like he's being played like on the radio, and they're like, oh, you're a sellout. But it's like,
Yeah,
do you want to stay underground forever? Like, I guess like that person, that's how they felt. Like they were just like, I'm making this music as like an underground artist, but then maybe they're like, I'm trying to make it in the sense of like, I need to
Yeah.
get paid a lot of money. So,
Yeah.
but then I also see where the direction of their music changes after that.
Yes.
Like one example, do you listen to Logic? No?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you.
I know Logic,
Okay.
and I know, but no, I
Yeah,
don't
I'll tell you.
retired?
I'll tell you through him, because like he's always been someone that I think that happened with. Like early in his career, he was known for his style of music, and then he got a record label, and he still kept that sound for a while, but then it slowly started becoming a totally different thing. And then, he came out and said like, "This is what I wanted to make from the beginning." Like, it's not because of my record deal. Like, I'm just putting out music that I wanted to. But before, I didn't make that music because people were going to be like, oh, you're lame. Like, why are you talking about this? Like, why are you singing about this? Or why are you singing? You're a rap artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always saw that as like, okay, yeah, I'm one of those people where I'm like, I miss mixtape Logic. You know what I mean? Like, I miss I miss mixtape Logic. I'm not gonna be like, oh, all his music now is trash. But you definitely see the difference. But then, you know, when he says himself, like, the record deal didn't make me do that. This is what I wanted to put out. I just felt that for the longest time I was in a stigma of, oh, I'm a rap artist, so I can't rap about this and I can't sing about this. Like, which I also understand that. Like, maybe once people get a big enough platform, they're like, oh, maybe now I can just do whatever I want.
Yeah.
You know, and take risks. So.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think about this so much. That's why I'm like.
So, like, how do you feel when it comes to that? Like, when you say, you know, you want to protect, like, your integrity in music, which is obviously, like, what any artist should do. But then how would you feel of, like, okay, I got a record deal now. Maybe I can do exactly what I want to do now and not what people might listen to because that's what I'm known for.
See, that's so hard because I have a little bit of a problem with authority. So anyone telling me what to do with, at least with art.
Yeah.
Do you know about Metal Machine Music?
I
know much.
feel like I do.
Oh man. Okay. So they, man,
Metal Machine?
I'm forgetting. I'm going to look up the name so I don't butcher it right now because I know the story, but I don't want it. So Metal Machine Music was the album that pretty much made the rule that if you are signed by a label, you have to make the same genre for like the albums that you're signed on for. Because, oh man, it's so good. It's like I would. This is exactly what I do just to piss people off because it's so good. So Lou Reed. So Lou Reed gets signed on in the 70s for a second album after making kind of like I think it was like a rock pop album, and not pop, but like a alternative rock album. So then the second one he does, they ended up at the label. They didn't listen through the actual master before sending it out and distributing it. And so what it was him taking an electric guitar and feeding the feedback from an amp into more amps into a mic. So it's just like this is, I don't know if it's gonna play.
Like that's it?
It's like 4 songs of
just that
10 minutes of this.
Oh wow.
Oh my God.
And now it's incredible. Like there are chamber orchestras that reenact it and they like play it like exactly how it is. They have sheet music for it and everything. It's a cult classic. But at the time, it was the #1 most returned album ever.
Wow.
And people were so pissed. They were just like, okay, like they'd go in and buy it, and they're like, you don't want to buy this because you're gonna go home and play this, and you're gonna come back and want your money back immediately.
Because they were so used to what their first drop was.
Exactly. Yeah, it was like normal music.
There was no.
It wasn't experimental like that. Yeah. And so, that's the problem where. What if you want to do something dumb like this? Like there are a couple tracks in mind. There's a 15-second track I have in there just called Palette Cleanser because it's just, I don't know. I wanted to do something dumb. And if I were to be signed onto someone.
You couldn't do that.
I couldn't do that. And so creative freedom is limited a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean like
a lot.
Do you think there's certain record labels that respect that integrity of an artist?
Oh, I'm sure there are, and those are the ones that I'd be like, but those they'd probably be smaller. They wouldn't be a behemoth.
Yeah, I don't think they're huge ones. Yeah, which is going back to.
Well, imagine
Logic's
this:
case.
somebody comes up to you and they're like, "I'm gonna pay you a salary. I'm gonna pay you really good, but you have to take the photos that I want." You can't take pictures that you want. You can just do what I want.
Yeah.
Which is also, you're kind of making a balance like that with clients. That's, I mean, then I'm over here like fine art photography. I'm so mean to my models where I'm like, oh, can I make this horror edit of you? And they're like, oh, go ahead. But like with clients, you're kind of in that same relationship where you're delivering a product that they want. And so that's not selling out. That's just that's just delivering a good product.
Yeah, I think that's a
good way.
That's a good point because with photography, like there's your paid work and then there's your creative work, I think. Like, sure, we enjoy taking photos of like a couple or one person or a family or grads or a wedding or whatever. But that's like the work stuff. As in like these people are paying you for this service and this is what they expect.
Yeah.
And then there's the other aspect of like shooting an idea that you want. And then that's just like for yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, with those
So-
paid ones, sometimes you're like, oh, I wish I could do this one.
Yeah,
this
but
one
you-
thing
yeah.
to this photo or whatever, you know, but you can't.
But you're like,
have
you
to
can't
keep it,
because
yeah.
they're paying you expecting
A
based on what you put
Yeah.
out, like this is what we want.
See,
So.
and that's huge. It's like what you put out. And so for a while there, I was like, I'm going to put out the weirdest stuff imaginable so no one will ask me for anything but super weird stuff. And so then people know what they're getting into. And still, I've had
You
a
still get
client
that?
where I thought that, I was like balancing it well, the colors were nice and everything. And they were so unhappy with the product that I was like, oh. And it was still a requested, it was like a requested shoot with knowing that was
Wait, but
what came
okay,
from.
so you do music, that's your main thing, but you also do photography and stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to tell us a little bit about that? So what do you do? Like, do you do client shoots or what is it? Like, I don't...
It depends. At this point, I'm completely freelance in that because of the experience I had with grad shoots where I did a couple of them for my friends and I was just having fun with them and they ended up loving it because it was more like a gift. It was like a fine art gift where I pretty much gave them a graduation shoot through whatever felt right. But then I started realizing like, oh, I don't know if weddings or grad shoots are the way that I want to go, just because again, like, I don't know if I want to. It's a huge responsibility being entrusted with those
And stuff like
events.
that,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's, I mean, mad respect to anyone, any wedding photographer, any grad photographer. Like that's huge. You're a huge part of that person's life at that point, and a part of the lineage, part of their legacy. But after a certain point, I was like, oh man, that's a lot of pressure.
yeah.
It can be.
It's because you kind of felt that, maybe like, not like in like that big scale when you're talking about like records and stuff, but in a way, you just said it, you limit it.
Yeah.
And you can't do whatever you want to those photos because it's probably, they're not going to be happy with that,
Like there's
Yeah.
a certain way wedding and grad photos are supposed to look.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you can't just tweak out every single color or do all these fancy things that you want because it's not going to really look like it.
Or, I mean,
Unless it's like
it's what
agreed
you
upon,
do. Yeah, because I mean, there are some crazy photographers I've seen, where they do the super flashy ones, and it's just whatever. I guess it's whatever your brand is. Like, because I know, I mean, I'm never gonna get married, but if I ever had a
Hey,
wedding,
don't say that.
but if I ever had a wedding, I'd want something funky. Like
Right,
I'd want
yeah.
something
Different.
fine. Something interesting. And so it's like, I guess it's just whatever you have to choose from in your portfolio. But yeah, a lot of people, they really have this thing in their mind of what it's going to look like and what's acceptable for family members. And
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it just, like you said, it depends on the artist you hire. Like, we all have a portfolio, so it's like, just look there, and if that's what you want, then that's probably where you're gonna get.
Yeah.
But then if you go to someone who does something different and adds, like, their own little, like, touch to something that makes it stand out a lot, then it's like, you would probably go to that person, Like, if I wanted something in specific, I know who I would go to based on like how they edit or what they do when they're posing and everything like that.
yes.
So, I don't know. I think that's a good way for like someone looking to hire somebody. It's like, hire them based on their portfolio, because that's more than likely what you're gonna get based out of that, instead of
You
like,
can just be like, don't get mad at me if I do some weird.
I know. Yeah.
What do you expect?
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be funky. If you
like
want
if
to
you have
expect
someone
funky
who
things,
does
yeah.
like crazy Photoshop overlays over a photo, like that's probably where you're gonna get. Like, why are you expecting something different?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so the other thing I wanted to bring up, like, I don't know anything about you, but at the same time, I feel like there's so much to you, I saw that one video for Sticky.
Oh, you did. Perfect.
I did, and
Okay.
I loved it.
Oh, you did? Perfect.
Who made that?
It was okay, so Peyton Murphy was the DP. I edited
Peyton
it.
did it?
Peyton did it.
I love Peyton.
Yes.
He's great.
It
Yeah,
was
I follow him on
he's
Instagram. Yeah, yeah.
I
amazing.
want to have him come in. I
We'll
won't
probably
play.
have him
Yeah,
come
he's
in.
great.
Oh, yeah. No,
Super
you need
cool
Peyton
dude.
and just I would trust him with my life a
Yeah,
million
he's great.
times over.
He's
Love
super
him.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of those people. So we had just bonded very thoroughly over a film in June. I want to say it was the entire month of June, and it was a very difficult experience. Very difficult. He was camera, I was sound. And that was it. That was the entire, for a feature film, they were 2 people. And so we got very close in that we shared a lot of frustrations about the way that the film was handled. And so because of that, we also had a bunch of female, or I guess actresses, that were also frustrated. And so I had this song and we just got together and we're like, we're kind of pissed. We want to make something angsty. And so that's where it came from. And so he worked camera, but we also had, other people who were on the film assisting with behind the scenes. And then we had actresses from the film in the music video. And so, yeah, it was pretty much just, we texted people up and we were like, do you want to do this with us? And I went to Savers and got a bunch of props and we went and filmed at people's houses or people who would let us crash their stuff. My grandma's backyard.
Oh wow!
I have to show it to you.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting. I'll
It's
probably watch
such
it
a
later
cool
when I'm home.
video, and when I saw that, I'm like, this must be like a high-end production thing,
It was a
I thought it was super cool. I
black
thought it was super cool.
magic camera from UNR.
It looked like
really?
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely looked like it. So
Yeah.
you
That's
guys
cool.
did
That's so
really well
fun.
with that one.
Cute, yeah.
So, but do you do video though?
I do, yeah. So I edited that one, although Peyton did coloring. Yeah, so I do video. I've done. The problem is, again, just like time. I think that's the main thing and like editing, I get so stuck in the editing process because, when you're editing, once it's done, it's done. That's the last step. So I really hold on to it sometimes, which is kind of an issue. I've been working
Good
past.
and bad and their own ways,
Yeah. But yeah, I love video, and I would argue that might be where I started from because I used to make dumb little Sony acid edits when I was a kid.
Cool. So ever since you were little, you were like the little creative little
Yeah.
girl doing things here and there. Oh, that's
Yeah, getting into flow states and being like, have I peed or eaten in like 6 hours?
Oh
And I'm
my
like,
God.
I'm 8. I need to calm down. Like,
Dude, that's me all the time.
Yes,
like I'm
take
like,
it in the
dude,
flow state.
it's 8 p.m. I have not had food. But when you're feeling it, you're feeling it. What are you
Yeah.
gonna do about it?
I struggle with that when I have a lot of shoots to do in a day.
Right.
Where you just
Yes.
like forget to eat lunch or something, and then by the time you're done, you're like miserable. You're like,
Right.
dude,
Mm-hmm.
I'm starving.
You just kind of like, wait, why do I feel like shit?
Yeah,
Oh.
that was like my thing this year. I'm like, okay, if I know I'm gonna have a busy day, I gotta take at least some snacks for in between.
Oh, yeah, you gotta have
carry
your
like a little backpack or a
real
bag
snacks.
and just throw some granola bars or something. Water. 'Cause I
oh,
feel
tons
like-
of water. You need
yeah.
a constant
Oh yeah.
big pack. I have like my big old hydro jug out in the car where I'm like, okay, I got to divvy it up in my.
Even
Yeah.
though, don't you hate when you're like really like on the flow, right? Like you're really feeling it and you have to go pee.
Okay,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Or you get interrupted or something. Like, oh man.
The worst
Yeah,
is
it's
like
rough.
you're like editing like nonstop, and you maybe get like a phone call, and you're like,
And then it interrupts your flow, and you're sitting like, how did I need to get back into this?
Yeah,
And it takes a half
right.
hour.
yeah. Or you have to go do something really
Isn't it
quick
funny?
and come
Yeah.
back to it. I hate that, bro. I hate that.
But there's nothing worse than someone coming up to you and saying like, you need to take a break. And you're like, don't no. No.
No, I
Not
don't.
right now.
It's been 8 hours. I don't care. I
It's
don't
like
need to
maybe I
move.
do need to take one, but don't tell me to take
but
one.
also don't tell me to. Yeah, it's like I'm
just
an
wait-
adult.
Just wait until my eyes hurt.
Yeah, it's like
Oh,
once
yeah.
you
eyes
see me
get tired.
crying, once you
And
see
then
me
I'll take a
crying
break.
from staring at my screen, then I need a break.
Once I get to
but-
the point, then maybe I'll take a
Yeah,
break.
you know when you look like SpongeBob with like the crusties, like all the
Oh,
zoomed
God,
in, and
yeah.
you're like horrible. You're like, oh crap,
It's
okay,
like-
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, that's how I
need
look?
it.
Oh
That's
man.
awesome. That
I need
is
to go to
beautiful.
sleep or something.
Right. So what do you
No.
do? Do you have a job like a regular?
I do. I have a day job, but I signed an NDA, so I'm technically a secret agent.
Oh what?
I'm
like hello?
no, I'm messing with you. But I mean, so it's just I have a day job and I like the people I work with, so it's like it's not what I want to do every day, but it's a creative. It's very, I don't know. I can do what I want outside of it because I'm not really, I don't have my career as my identity in that, or I don't have my job as my career identity, I guess. So it gives me, the ability to say like, I make money somewhere else for the most part. The substantial part of my income comes from somewhere else, but my career is, I can still be an artist by trade.
Right.
So, yeah.
And the other thing, there's so many things to you, I'm telling you. I think my brother met you through like the university
Yes,
thing.
Audio
So
Engineering
what is
Society.
that about?
Yes, okay, so, oh man, so fun. Just so fun.
Go off.
So, I don't think it's around anymore, but I want someone to like reinstate it because we just ended up, the people, we had the Audio Engineering Society and we had Tom Gordon, who produced a lot of my album, and Ray Silva at like overseeing a lot of the club activities. So we had a branch here, and then the people in it, there was just like this wonderful mix of people, like officers who like put a lot of work in and a lot of hours, and they made the most incredible just gatherings where we'd be like in the at the Knowledge Center in the sound stage where no one was like allowed in the sound stage except they were allowed in the sound stage.
Right.
And they were like, oh, let's have a listening party, and everyone could bring their stuff and everyone was welcome. And then they'd be like, oh, let's go to Los Angeles to the Audio Engineering Society convention. And I'm just like, you guys are so cool. Oh my God.
I love you guys.
Yeah, immediately. I was just this little freshman, like, can I be your friends?
That's so cool.
They've stayed my friends. I mean, for a long time. They're all musicians now or artists now. And it's just the kind of people that are drawn to it. And and that's where I met Angel. So it was super cool.
That's awesome. He loved it. He really loved that.
Yeah.
And it sounded interesting. It's kind of like if we had like a little meetup party and everybody looks at your photos and they're like, oh, that's a cool photo right there.
Yeah, everyone's hyping each other up. But there were a couple times where like I bring in something, they're like, so this is what you're gonna want to do because
Oh shit.
and I'm like, oh yes, yo, tear me apart. Like
Yeah, go at me, right?
yeah.
I've been wanting to like.
Imagine that. That'd be like a
I've been
cool
wanting to put
thing.
together like a photographer meetup again for a long time because that was the thing some of my friends and I were doing like years ago.
Uh-huh.
And it was really cool because it like just introduced a lot of up and coming people to like the people who are doing it more. But then they also met each other. And you know how it is when you meet people who have the same interest as you, like you just talk about the same thing for like
Crazy.
hours. So I feel like
where have you been?
Yeah,
my
like
whole
the
life?
point of those meetups
Honestly.
was like, okay, photographers and like models can come or people who do video. But most of the time we wouldn't really take photos or video. We would just hang out and it would just be like oh, so this is you in person. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? And then, we would
That's
snap
awesome.
a couple of like pictures and stuff. And I've been wanting to do one. It's kind of hard with like COVID because, they're big groups of people. I guess like the advantage to doing like a photographer meetup is you could just go do it outside somewhere.
Yes.
Like in the
I think that's
open.
big.
Like maybe go somewhere for sunset, try to get people together, bring like a couple people who can model and then just do something like that, which I definitely do want to do like maybe closer to summer or something once the weather stops being weird.
Yes.
Um,
I absolutely
which,
agree.
who
I mean,
knows?
if you guys make one, invite me. Like that sounds so fun.
I mean,
I
yeah,
really
I'm
wanted to
thinking,
do
I'm
so
thinking
dope.
of
I
putting
like-
together one.
Yeah, you're definitely creative. That's a
I would
fact.
definitely like put together one and just announce it like a good amount ahead of time to let people plan for it,
Yes,
Like-
that's big for groups like that.
like just say like, hey guys, on a Saturday from this time to this time, like 3-4 weeks out, so then people are like, cool, I'm not gonna make plans or something.
That would be fun.
Just because I really
might
want to
invite
do
you if you
it.
do
I think
that.
maybe in like May or June. So keep an eye out. We'll let you know.
I would love that. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I feel like we need more of those, especially because Reno is such a. That's what I love about it, and it's getting bigger, but it is such a small,
Community.
concentrated community where people actually get to know each other, which makes me feel like such a loser when I see someone like crazy pop up, and I'm like, where is this person? I've never met them.
That's been happening a lot, especially with the podcast.
Oh, I
We
bet
bring
this is
someone,
opening
and
up
then
huge
some of
avenues.
their followers follow us, and then I go
Yeah,
and look
just
at
like
their
a
stuff.
chain.
I'm like, whoa,
Yeah, it's like this
is
huge
wild,
network.
Yeah.
But
But that's cool.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask about what about live events? Have you done any of that?
Ooh, I've done a couple of live events in the past. Not as many as I wanted to, and there were a couple of opportunities to do more live events, but again, with COVID,
Yeah.
I was like, I couldn't wear a mask singing. And And so I just didn't want to, until I'm like vaccinated. Once I'm vaccinated, because I'm in the very last demographic. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Same
all
thing.
are. Yeah.
yeah, I would love to do more live performances. However, studio work is so different from live performances.
I was gonna ask.
It's crazy.
Is it like that much different?
Yeah, so I started out when I was a kid in orchestra and band and like theater. So I started out with live performances, and sometimes I can kind of hear it in the studio where I'm like, oh, I sound like I'm singing like a musical number where I'm like enunciating really well, and I'm like, ba-ba-da-ba-da, but it's ridiculous where I'm like, and then you get other studio artists that are like studio artists, and they're like, they know exactly how, like they don't sound anything like themselves, and then they get a mic and you're like, and you're like, oh, that's so sick, like that's exactly what I expected. So yeah, it's very different, and translating studio work to live performances is just, it's
A
insane.
whole nother thing.
Yeah, whole other thing. I mean, because you hear like Billie Eilish, she's whispering into the mic in a lot of cases. If you were to try to do that for a live performance that isn't properly mixed,
Yeah.
good
I feel
luck.
like there's certain songs that just they're not going to be the same live than they are like in a studio, because there's so much you can do through the studio,
Yes, yeah, you need a lot of pre-recorded stuff now to get that same effect, which, but then you have artists that are better live than they are in the studio.
Agree. I agree.
And then
I've been to like
those are
a pretty good handful of
Right.
like live events in my time, and yeah, there were some where I was like, wow, this is so much better.
Young the
And
Giant.
Or even those
Yeah.
ones that
Yeah, I agree.
Oh.
You're right.
I wasn't a huge fan of Young the Giant in the studio, like just listening to them, and then I saw them live.
Yeah, they're great live. Oh my gosh, what's that band? Mumford and Sons.
Oh, I haven't seen them live. They're really
Live,
good.
they're great. Kings of Leon,
I could see them being really good live too.
way better in person, I think.
Cage the
But-
Elephant probably too.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
actually,
crazy.
I haven't seen him live, but I've heard from people that as a live event, he's ridiculous.
So,
yeah.
do you know Lil Dicky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went and I was at Life is Beautiful a while ago, and I went to see Little Dicky because of Pillow Talking. And I was like, yes, and he was like, no, I'm not going to do this. It's an 11-minute song, and I'm like, whatever. So I raced back to go see not Young the Giant, to see, oh my gosh,
Cage?
Thank
Cage the
you.
Elephant? Yeah.
And he's like in his underwear. He's like thrashing
Yeah.
around the stage. I'm like, I missed this for Lil Dicky to not do the song.
Yeah, no, it's great. I miss live concerts, man.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, I actually was gonna
Me
go
too.
to a couple last year, but then everything got switched.
No, that's exactly it. Like no.
There's nothing
Yeah.
happening for the future.
They're
Like,
they're
is that
starting
They're
to
starting
announce
to.
now.
Yeah,
I think
Outside Lands. I saw.
Life is Beautiful. They just got
Beautiful.
announced for I think August or September.
Yeah,
which is
that
kind of
one's
nuts because that's
crazy.
only in like 4 months, and those are like huge concerts. So I'm like,
Huge.
okay, well,
Are they going to be able to see if
yeah,
people are
I'm like,
vaccinated?
yeah, I'm like, what's the
or-
requirement? Like, do you have to show that you're vaccinated, or like, what's I don't know, but
Yeah.
who knows?
Same level
Like,
of security as the Krispy Kreme
Hey.
thing, where it's like you have to prove
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
this donut.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe-
Hey, I just went there earlier, man.
Oh, did you?
Oh, really?
How was
Yeah.
it?
It was
Dude, it's
it was good.
Come
Okay.
on, they're donuts, dude.
Okay,
Oh, but Krispy Kreme,
it
They're
hits.
done.
they're
Donuts.
different.
It hits.
They're
different.
donuts, though.
Their glazed donuts are the best glazed donuts, like by far.
They're the best
I'm not gonna
donuts.
say they're the greatest donut place,
Is it like?
but
But
Okay.
the glazed I mean, when you're wanting a Krispy Kreme donut, it's like that's the only donut you want. Is a glazed. Krispy
like just the classic glaze, you're not gonna get a better one than Krispy Kreme. Like that's my opinion. You can get like the
I would-
variety, like the chocolate or something.
Yes, or like a
It is
cronut.
great, but it's not like
It's a
Oh
freaking
my
donut,
gosh,
though.
you know.
I'm just like-
it is kind of ridiculous that there's like I went earlier in the day
it's a
today.
freaking donut, dude.
Okay,
Nah,
well,
just
listen.
I'm
But people,
just gonna
it's like
shut up
people
now.
who like ice cream and donuts, connoisseurs. I'm not a sweets dude, but like if you give me a really good bowl of like gelato,
I'm not
or
like a
really
sweets
good donut
person at all either,
Yeah.
but from time to time you just want one, you know.
and when you want one,
And I
you really
hadn't
want
had
one.
Krispy Kreme in like damn near 4 years, ever since
And so
they
you had
left.
one today?
Yeah,
That's what are the odds? That's
And
crazy.
you
Yeah.
didn't bring us any.
I still have like a box at home.
All
I
right.
should have brought it
Oh man! And
So-
we're just like eating it in the mic. We're just like
because I
ASMR in
went.
it.
You're like a taste review.
No, I went. I was in the area because it's over there in Sparks, right? Like by
Yeah.
the Wingstop and the Boot Barn, and
yeah.
I was out, delivering some stickers in that area, and I'm like, okay, the line doesn't look that big because they have a drive-through. And
that's
I know people have been tweeting like that drive-through line is ridiculous. Like, don't go through the drive-through. And I saw the drive-through line; it wasn't too bad. So I'm like, oh, I'll stop on the way back.
Isn't quick.
By the time I came back, oh my god,
It was crazy.
You think In-N-Out lines are long?
No, those are crazy.
No. Krispy
I
Kreme
cannot.
line was like
No, yeah.
What
Krispy
is-
Kreme line was like, okay, listen.
Really?
Krispy Kreme line was from like the window all through the parking lot, outside of the parking lot, into another parking lot.
Ugh.
I kid you not, maybe like 30 cars in line, right? And
It's
this was at
Chick-fil-A's
like
opening.
and this was at like 1 p.m. So I'm like, why aren't people at work? You know what I
gotta
mean?
eat my donuts,
Like,
man.
what the hell? I went earlier because I'm like, cool, I'm going to take advantage that I can just pull up when it's earlier.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I am not going to wait that long for some damn donuts. I agree with you.
What is going on
I
with your
agree.
life at that
I
point?
know.
Yeah.
That's
You'd
my
think
only
it's like
question.
in the morning. It's not even in the morning.
What are you doing with your life if you can sit in a drive-through for
For like an hour.
however long?
That would have probably been like an hour
don't
long
get
wait.
it.
So what I
Not
did
get
is
it.
I'm like, I'm going to do the
Wild.
smart thing and I'm just going to get off my car and go inside.
Yeah.
Right? So I park, I go inside, and there's a decent line inside. I'm not going to say like, oh my God, I'm going to wait an hour.
No,
But maybe
yeah.
like a 10-minute wait.
10 minutes
I'm
not
like,
bad.
I'll wait, dude, it's fine.
We're in Reno,
And then
we're
as I'm
spoiled.
waiting in line though, one of the workers comes up and she's asking people like, what kind of donuts are you getting? And most people are like, oh, I'm getting like variety, blah, blah, blah. Comes up to me, she's like, what kind of donuts are you getting? I'm like, I'm just getting glazed. And she's like, you can go right up to the front and just get your glazed and pay. She's like, because if you're just getting glazed, we're checking everyone out. And I was like, oh, sick.
That is so nice.
I was in line for like 20 seconds. She took me straight to the front. I got my 2 dozen boxes and I'm like, I'm out.
It's nice having
Dip out.
like
Yep.
knowing what you want.
Yeah,
It's like,
because I didn't
makes your
want
life
I didn't
easier.
want
Wait, what do
variety.
I want?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
didn't.
know.
you lose that
That's,
opportunity.
that's one of the most frustrating things when you're working in like service. It's just like waiting for me. You're like,
That lucky though.
no, just no. Just
I worked
no
at
before
I
you
worked
come
at
up
a
here.
restaurant years ago and I used to hate
Oh.
that, especially because I knew they were gonna get the same damn thing.
Yes. Oh, and I'm the worst at that. I'm
Lucky, yeah.
I will look
that's
at the
me.
menu
That's
every
me.
single
I
time
feel
and
attacked
I'll
because that's
be
my
like,
deal.
I was
"Oh,
like,
I
wait
need
a
a minute.
second.
Is it because
Give
we're
me
all
just a
creative
sec.
introverts?
Bro,
Is that what
I
it
go to
is?
Annex
Maybe that's
and
what
I'm
it
like, what am I gonna get? I'll just get the torta. It's cool.
Right.
You get the same thing, but you always are like, oh, I might need another minute,
Yeah.
and then they
Right.
have to leave and
Or
come
you-
back, and I
You
know
go to
I'm
like
being a
Olive
dick.
Garden and you're like,
Chicken
just get the chicken Alfredo.
Alfredo.
You're like chicken Alfredo. It is again. Like it's cool.
Okay. But
Yeah.
you have to give it thought.
Yeah. Or like
Oh my
even
God, that's
like when you
hilarious.
sometimes pull up to like I don't know like a Carl's Jr. or like In-N-Out and you're like
Oh,
In-N-Out only has
Three
three things
things.
and you're
Three
still
things.
like
No, if you do that, then that's a little too much.
I get the worst anxiety ordering it In-N-Out. I don't get it anywhere else. I don't know what it is, but I get there and it's like to the point where my sister doesn't even want to like go with me anymore because
just gonna freak out?
because they'll walk up and they'll be super friendly and they're super nice and they're 3 things to order and they're like, "What do you want?" I'm like, I couldn't tell you, bro.
Yeah.
Tell me what I want, please.
because my debate is like
And I know
okay, do
my
I
order.
want just the cheeseburger or do I want the double? Do I
Yes,
want fries or
that's-
animal
Come
fries?
on, is that
do I
even a
want
debate?
animal burger or no
Oh,
animal
always
style?
animal style burger. But like, do you want a grilled cheese? Do you want? And I always ask for every single kind of onion. So I'm just like, I'm about to embarrass myself. I'm about to be like animal style, whole grilled, raw, chopped,
Yeah.
and they're gonna be like, they always say the same thing. They're like, wow, someone likes a lot of onions.
Yeah.
I'm like,
You're
yep.
like, yep.
No, you don't have to
And I
rub it
fumbled
in.
it.
My go-to is literally like animal style double, animal style fries with maybe a normal fries on the side, and that's
Yes.
my combo.
Dude, and then do you ever like get the banana peppers?
Oh yeah.
Oh, the
they're so
banana
damn
pepper.
spicy, but they're so good.
There was also a point where I wasn't allowed to have those anymore because I ate so many of them that people around me were like, dude, you're killing yourself.
They're so spicy.
They're so good.
They're so spicy, but they're so good. It's like when you eat something spicy that you're like, bro, my mouth is on fire, but you want to keep eating it because it adds so much to it.
It's like ripping
Yeah.
through you, and you're like,
Yeah.
thank you.
I'm about to go get in and out after this, bro.
You should. Okay, there was this one time my friend, he worked there in high school, and there was a kid, one of his friends who worked there who wanted to leave early for a party. So the manager was like, "Oh yeah, you can go, but you have to drink this banana pepper juice before you go, so you can go early."
Oh,
he
no.
did not go to that party that
Oh,
night.
hell no.
No, he chugged it,
But
and
he was like,
out for the count. There was no way he went
yeah,
to that.
those little things they're very deceiving because they're like this big.
Oh yeah,
And you're like, it's just a little pepper. And you
Yeah.
take one little bite and you're like,
and you think it's like a peppercini the
Yeah.
first time you no.
no, they're spicy as
No.
hell. I always just get like 2 little cups and I only eat like 2 or 3 of them, maybe.
Yes.
And I always take out the seeds from inside because I'm like, hell no, bro. I
See,
can't do that.
I feel like that would be a good truth or dare, or a good dare. You're like, yeah, eat one of these, but like, whole thing.
You cannot, you
No,
cannot
I
get me
take
to
I
do
take
it.
the seeds. I'm like, I can't handle
Yeah,
these little
no.
You
things
could
with
not
seeds.
get me to do
Those
that.
Yeah.
I will punch you in the face.
No, but like, so, I mean, yeah, to anybody who's, I guess, wondering if Krispy Kreme is worth it, I think if you've had it before, then it's definitely worth going because it's been gone for so long.
Yes, I
Like-
think that's why In-N-Out was such a long lined place for such a long time too, because you could only get it in California,
Yep.
and then it came here, and
Yep.
everyone was like
Look at Cane's.
going mental.
Cane's was like that too.
Cane's. Okay, Chick-fil-A or Cane's.
Oh, crap.
Canes.
Yes, because gay rights.
Yeah.
Just say Canes.
But
Just
But
say
also
Canes,
cane
bro.
sauce.
Just
I
say
would.
Canes.
I
They just
don't
need to get a
know,
different container
man.
than the styrofoam.
I don't
'Cause then it gets it all
I feel
wet.
like I
Oh,
can't
yeah, that's
compare
right.
them because they're so different. Like
They are, and the grilled chicken. I mean,
my
grilled
thing
chicken
is
is
with
good.
Chick-fil-A versus Cane's is like Cane's is just chicken strips. That's it.
and
Fries
and I want them to.
and
be
you know
grilled.
the toast and the sauce. Cool.
Yeah.
But Chick-fil-A is basically a burger place but just chicken. Like you can get
Yes.
chicken nuggets, you can
But
get chicken sandwiches.
That's the thing is they have grilled chicken nuggets, which no one else has,
Yep.
and so I'm like, come on, Wendy's. Like, come on, other people. I guess I don't know.
I
Go
think
on, Wendy's.
I think
Dude, if In-N-Out
I
had
love
chicken,
Wendy's.
dude, that would be a whole
I think Chick-fil-A for me if I just want something chicken, but
Yeah.
Cane's for me if I'm in the mood for chicken strips 100%. I will not go anywhere else. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
no.
Like every place has chicken strips. But if I
Yes.
want some damn chicken strips, I'm going to Cane's. Like I'm not
Yes.
going to go to like Carl's Jr. or like Popeyes or something that has chicken strips. Like no, I'm just going to go straight to Cane's. But
Now that I think of it, it was actually after an Audio Engineering Society meeting that they were talking about Cane's, and I was like, "What's Cane's?" And they were like, they all turned around and looked at me at the
Like,
same
hello?
time, like, "We got a Cane's Virgin over here," and then we all went, and they were like. I asked for the non-sweet tea, and they all turned around. And they were like, "No, you're getting the sweet tea."
it's good, but it's so bad for you.
everything
It's so bad for you.
Every
so bad.
place, you know, after a long day where you're just working, doing whatever you do, you go to like those places, and then that's kind of where you fall in
There's
love with those.
nothing
You know,
better.
just like it just tastes.
You
so
wait in
good.
that line for like 25 minutes, but then once you get your
Right.
food, you're like, yes.
I don't know what it is, but when you're tired and then you go and you just eat it, that's just.
That's me today.
so good.
Maybe I'm gonna go
Yeah.
get In-N-Out.
No, in it.
Yeah, you look a
once it's
little
in your
down
head-
today.
I'm just kind of tired.
You look a little bit down
I'm just
today.
kind of tired. Leave me alone.
And it helps though. It really does. Like, there's never been one time where I regretted going and getting myself in it. It's like self-care.
It is.
It is. Yeah, you can consider
It's
that.
like worth the wait. Yeah, honestly,
Worth the wait.
like
Hashtag.
you know that if you're gonna go to In-N-Out, you're gonna be in line, like no matter what.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and that's
yeah.
how I felt about going to Krispy Kreme today, because I'm like, there's probably gonna be a fat old line.
Yeah.
But you know what? I haven't had Krispy Kreme in like 5-6 years, or
Yeah,
however
I got
long it
time
had been.
today.
So I'm like,
worth it.
I got time. I'm in the area.
I got time
I got
And I
today.
actually ended up only being in line for like a
These
minute,
donuts.
so it
See,
worked
it
out.
That's the Lord.
Apparently
That's the
though,
Lord putting in work.
the worker told me that you can. the worker told me you can get their app and you can just order online, and that saves you a ton of time.
Yes, and it's probably.
And
I
you
mean,
get rewards.
it eliminates the whole changing your mind thing. You
Yeah.
just get what you get, so you're
thing
not
is-
irritating everyone.
The thing is with the app right now is that since they're so busy, you can only order glazed. So if you're gonna order on the app, only glazed.
Okay, but you know what? Works for everyone with taste. So no, I'm kidding.
Oh yeah.
No, I ended up eating 2, and so I mean I still have 10 because I got like a dozen box.
Yeah.
Did
And
you bring us any, bro? I can't believe you right now.
I
man.
wasn't home.
I cannot.
I was
believe you
busy
right
from
now,
like
dog.
2 o'clock and on.
I cannot.
Yeah, no, I don't
believe
blame
I
you.
didn't want to go.
No, hey,
I would have been
don't-
hella late
Don't
if
give
I
him a
went to get
break.
him.
What are you doing? Don't give
I
him a
blame
break.
you?
Screw this
Question
guy.
mark?
Screw this guy.
Yeah.
He
come
act
on.
like he's not full time now and he can't just go
Yeah.
get some. Get the app.
Jeez,
Order
I was
online.
busy today. Okay.
Damn.
I've
Oh,
been
but I
busy.
wasn't. So
Yeah,
I was
you
supposed
were-
to just bring you donuts.
You went, dog. You were there. You got some.
I got my
Alright,
girlfriend
it's fine.
some.
It's fine.
I
It's
took her a
alright.
dozen.
That's all
to
that
her job.
matters.
Yeah.
It's alright. Yeah.
You're not
I
my
guess
girl.
So. Screw us, huh?
Dang, he just said your name is girl.
Damn.
How do you feel about that? This
I
is turning
feel-
into.
Yeah, this is ruining my whole day.
know.
Ruined my whole
Anyways,
day.
go to Krispy Kreme if you haven't. It's good.
Like, this podcast was brought to you by. Dude, they should sponsor us.
Yeah,
Sponsor
presented by
you.
Krispy Kreme.
I know,
please,
right?
Please sponsor us.
Let's send,
I'm gonna go to the
some
store
emails.
and show
Yeah.
them our YouTube link and be like, "Look, we talked about
About
you."
you
Hey.
for like hella.
I'm gonna be like, we get 100 views.
Be like, "We got 100
Come on.
viewers on deck."
On deck. It's
Be like, "We
what
don't
does that
get
count?"
nothing but thumbs up."
Yes, I know. We don't have a single dislike, which is good for your brand.
Be like,
good
"Yep."
representation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Krispy Kreme represent.
We, We don't have a lot of supporters, but the ones we
Like,
do
we got
have,
over
they're
100
loyal.
We got
They're
over
loyal
100
support.
subs. We in there.
No,
We in
no.
there.
The people who they're loyal, they listen to everything. You know, I mean, 100 people in the bag is better than 1,000
Tell 'em-
people that
Right.
Tell 'em,
personally
right,
listen.
Tell them our like Instagram follower account and be like, look, these are our socials. I guarantee you, at least like half of these people will go get a donut.
We'll go get a donut.
Yeah.
Yeah, give you like a whatchamacallit, like what is it called? Like 20% off if you put in this
Oh,
code.
yeah.
Yeah.
Give me a creator
Sponsor
code.
code. Yeah. Dude, imagine.
Those guys. Imagine getting to that point. Have you seen those influencers that they have a big following and they're like, "Can I stay at your hotel for free? Can I get this?" food
Oh
for free?"
yeah. You know
Imagine
what's
just
funny
getting
that
to
you bring that
point.
up is lately I've been wanting to do like a lot more product photography because I've always wanted to get into product stuff.
Yes.
And
That stuff
I
is insane.
Yeah. Like I started reaching out to a bunch of random ass companies on Instagram. So obviously it's stuff that I like. Like I'm not just
Yeah.
going for anyone.
No, you don't want to support brands that you don't like. Just like how we talked about In-N-Out and
Yeah.
Cane's listen.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're listening. Hopefully their CEO is listening.
No, like
I know. Listen up, buddy.
a couple of months ago, I messaged and emailed a company called United by Blue, which is like a outdoorsy, like you can get backpacks, like a bunch of really stuff. But I like their company because for every purchase you make, they clean up 2 pounds of trash
That's
per
cool.
purchase. And they've cleaned up like millions of pounds at this point because they're a pretty decently big company now.
Mm-hmm.
I found out about them like 6 years ago, and I had like a backpack from them that I loved. And then back then they were like at a much smaller scale. I think like a 20K, 18K follower Instagram like
That's still
page,
good, though, especially for a product.
Yeah,
Like,
and then
it's good.
I think back in the day, I reached out to them and they did give me a discount code to buy something. So they're like, "Oh, we'll give you like half off," and that's how I got that backpack. And I was
That's
like,
great.
"Oh, sick!" I like took a few photos with it on and sent it to them. Like 2 months ago, I messaged them again and emailed again because I'm like, they have so much more cooler stuff now.
Yeah.
So they literally got back to me like 2-3 days ago after like 2 months of the message, and they're like, "Oh, we just got around to your email. We'd be happy to give you like a discount code." And I was like,
Okay.
"Say less, bro." So I ordered a backpack. I ordered like a water bottle and like a little water bottle sling thing. They gave me like almost 60%.
And so they're looking so good that you have the whole set that you're like, selfie.
Yeah, so now I'm literally waiting for it to come in, and then I'm just gonna take photos of it and send it to them because I want them to like post them. They're that kind of company where like they'll just tag you on an Instagram post. You know what I mean? I'm like,
That's a
guys,
good way
I
to
don't
do
care
it.
if it doesn't go to the website.
Yeah.
I just wanted to work with you. Like I just
Yeah.
want to get more stuff out there. And then now I've been reaching out to like other smaller companies, and some have replied, which is kind of cool. And
Yeah.
it makes me wonder, like, why the hell didn't I just do this before?
Yeah,
That's
you can
most-
take the shots.
Because
you know?
the worst
of
that
what
can
it
happen is
is.
they're just like, no.
Yeah.
But who cares?
Yeah,
Like,
but you also like the first point of contact is important anyway because then they can look back and be like, "Oh, this is someone who's continued trying.
Yeah.
They're more reliable." Because I mean, yeah, if you believe in
Don't you
their
feel
product.
that there's things that you don't do just because you're like, oh, what's gonna happen?
Afraid
you
of
know?
rejection
Yeah,
almost?
Oh, absolutely, but
I feel like it's good to just take the chance. You know?
no, if you care
only,
enough.
You only miss the shots you don't
Yeah.
take. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah. And at that point, I was going to say, what's the worst thing that could happen? And I'm like, well, you could get canceled, but like, hopefully it's not one of those things.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't
but
know.
like, no, as long as you're not, it's not that bad. Like, yeah, you're just reaching out to someone. And that's how, from what I've seen, a majority of successful people, that's how they're annoying. You
Yeah.
know, the people, there's this
Persistent.
story about the interns at Abbey Road where they were like, there was flood and there was drought, and they were the two interns that would like pour in tea. They would like refill the tea. So there was flood, who was always there every 2 minutes, like refilling everyone's tea, and then there was drought. And no one knows where drought is, but Flood is now like an engineer there, or he's a well-known
really?
engineer.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, I don't know their names. It was more of like a audio tale.
Do you guys watch
but
Shark Tank?
Loved Shark Tank.
I love Shark Tank.
I used to.
It's brutal, but it's fun.
Mark Cuban.
yeah.
Yeah. So obviously he's, I think in my mind, probably the richest one from that whole group.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
he just has a ton of stuff, you know.
Obscenely wealthy, yeah.
Do you know his whole like upbringing? of the fact that he was broke until age like 28.
Of course he was. He was
Like Omega broke.
millionaire. Yeah, must have been
Imagine,
broke.
dude, coming out of the womb and
Yeah.
you're like, bomb. Like,
No,
just a
he definitely
millionaire.
like was one of those guys that was not successful at first.
Yeah.
And I watched a documentary on him like a while back, and yeah, he's like, dude, when I was 28, I maybe had like $100 in my bank account. He's like, but you know
Yeah.
what I did have? He's like, is I was persistent in getting my foot through the door,
Yes.
and once I got one foot in, that was it. And ever since then, I
is.
mean, he's who he is now. He said that even when he was trying to buy the Dallas Mavericks, that was a pain. You know?
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
I
not
mean-
like the dude didn't have the money, but they were like,
Yeah.
what do you know about sports? Like, are you know, like, why are you
You
trying
have
to
the
be the
passion
owner
for
of a
it.
basketball team? And then
Yeah.
the dude is into basketball. Like, he's passionate about it, but they're just like, oh, you're just some rich guy who's trying to make money off a basketball team.
Yeah.
But then when COVID happened last year, he was giving people like monthly salaries that were not working at the stadium, which I
Mm-hmm.
think was cool because that just shows of like, okay, look, you're the owner of it and you're paying people probably a higher monthly salary than when they were employed because these people work for you. You know, not the players because
responsibility.
they're pretty set, you know?
Yeah.
But like concession workers, like janitors, like stuff like that. There was an article that came out where he was like paying, I think for like 6 months, he paid all of them like a monthly wage. And I'm like, bro, the government didn't even do that to people. You know what I mean? They gave what, 3 stimulus checks total, but not like every month. It was like you got what was it, 1,500 the first one or whatever it was.
600.
No. The first one they gave was like what, 1,200?
Was it 12 or 15?
I think it was 1,200.
Was it 12?
I think it was 1,200, and then they gave
Crap.
600 because they signed
Yeah.
the 2001, but they sent one part in 600, and then these past weeks people got the 1,400.
And you know what's
That's
wild?
it,
We don't
though.
remember that because it's nothing compared to what you actually need to survive. It's
yeah.
like when you're a kid, you're like, oh, $1,000 is so much. It's really,
It's really not.
no. It's like
yeah.
enough to barely float by. Like,
Most rents now are not 1,200.
oh, Reno's insane.
It's so stupid,
Dude, it's like I heard. I mean, this is a while ago in the before times when I was like out and about. But like someone was talking about how we had in Reno, in the Reno area, one of the biggest divides, like second only to Hawaii, between median income and median like housing costs.
Really?
Which compared to Hawaii, that's pretty intense because I mean, we're not paying people enough to keep up with how many people want to move in here, and then there's gentrification and like big companies coming in paying pretty well, but then people have to keep up in the
The
service
whole
industries
market
that they're
now is
already
just
in.
like they're building apartments
crazy.
because people can't afford homes just because one, the pandemic didn't help. And then so nobody's trying to sell their house because they're like, well, what's gonna happen? Like, we're in a pandemic, dude.
Yeah.
So that's why housing market is just like ridiculous to try to get a house. Like, if you're not making like over 70, 80K a year, like, good luck getting any decent home.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
Good luck, you know?
And a lot of people have debt.
Yeah.
Coming out of college.
Yep. And so that's why they're like, well, there's all these apartments, which even then the rent is like 11 to 1,600. But you know what? Sadly to say, it's better than a mortgage nowadays. Like a mortgage nowadays, 2,000 plus.
But the thing
at
is
least, you
that
know?
when you're renting, you're not paying into equity. So you don't have anything to show for it. It's pretty much just flushing it. I mean, it's not flushing it for some regards, but you're not getting anything out
You're
of it.
renting to have somewhere
You're not
to
building-
live,
yeah.
but you're not. What's gonna happen after your lease? Like 12 months of money just down the
Just-
drain.
Yep.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
don't have anything to show for it.
It's hard when you're in a situation when you can't.
Yep.
Yeah,
Can't
and
find
most
house.
people were like kind of being built into the situation, and like that's one of the things. I almost went to school in California for video game design, for graphic design.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really wanted to go to Sunnyvale and do that, and then I started realistically thinking like, okay, do I want 40 grand a year in debt just for tuition, just to start out? And I mean, people are being put into several $100,000 worth of debt, like
No
putting
thanks.
these giant balls and chains around
Yeah.
your ankle, like when you're just starting out. And it's not their fault. I mean, that's what like recruiters come in and they're saying like, do this, and they're 18. They haven't started lives yet. They don't know.
Yeah, I have very
Situation.
mixed feelings about college,
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, college is cool. College prices
suck.
suck.
I'm not saying.
College
yeah.
is cool. There are institutional problems
Yeah.
with colleges.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
It's a fun
It's
experience.
beneficial,
You know?
yeah.
It's just. I hate to be the one who be like, we live in a society, but
the Matrix, take a step outside.
we live in a society
Yeah.
where, but it's like, you know, the normal like mindset for anyone, I think almost anywhere is like, okay, you go to elementary, you go to middle school, you go to high school, you go to college, you get a job, you get a career.
Yes.
That's your life,
Yep.
you know? And I know some people are like, why? Like, I don't want to do that. You know, maybe they'll finish high school, but then they're like, they look at tuition costs and they're like, dude, I'm going to be paying this off like forever. Like, I'll get a career and I'm going to make better money because I have a career through college,
Yeah.
which isn't always guaranteed though.
It's rarely guaranteed
Mm-hmm.
now because who gets actual jobs in their
It's so
their
rare.
degree
Field,
field? Yeah.
I ask people who I do grad photos for all the time, like when I see them a couple months out after their graduation, I'm like, what are you up to nowadays? And they're like, I'm just kind of working here
Yeah.
because I can't find a job. And I'm like, that sucks, dude. Like, that sucks.
It really does. And I would even argue that like college is, it's not, I mean, it's definitely not a requirement. It is helpful in that it helps you network with people. It helps you figure out what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And who you don't want to spend time around. like arguably that's the most important lesson I learned. And I'm just grateful that I didn't spend like $250K on it.
Yeah.
Which, looking back, if I would have gotten, I loved my college experience. I met people that will be friends for the rest of my life, people in the industry that I will turn to for advice forever, and great experiences. But if I had to pay $250,000 for it, no way in hell.
Never.
No way. If I had to pay $100,000 for it, no way in hell.
Have you ever seen the movie Accepted?
Incepted.
Accepted. Like
accepted. Oh, no.
Oh.
I haven't.
So it's a movie about this kid in high school who's a senior, and then he keeps getting like turned down by colleges, like everywhere he applies, like just because of academics or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then so he ends up tricking his parents into that he got accepted into a college. But they
I've
make
heard
like
people
a
do
fake
this.
college, right? And then all these people who are constantly getting rejected find out about it, so then they go to the college and then they make like their own college. It's like a sister school of like a popular college that everyone in his town was aiming towards.
That's funny.
And the one of the lines I always remember, which I think is hilarious, is like when he's telling his parents about him getting rejected to college, and they're like, okay, so where have you applied? And he's like, I actually want to talk to you guys. He's like, so, you know, the average college semester costs what? Like $20K or like the year, right? He's like,
Yeah.
the average college year is like 20 grand. He's like, the way I see it, he's like, I can either go to college for 4 years and spend $80,000. He's like, or I can work and make $80,000. and then his parents were like, are you saying you don't want to go to college? He's like, no, I'm saying it's financially irresponsible to go to college.
Yes,
And
it
like,
is.
it's just hilarious because that has so much truth to it, like low key.
Oh,
You know,
high key.
like I get why that's what he said to his parents, because it kind of makes you think like, well, yeah, he's not wrong. Like technically, he would make $80K in 40 years.
Yeah,
But
because if
he
you
goes to
finish college, then you're gonna be playing catch up, basically. You know.
Pretty much.
Sometimes for the rest of your life. And because, I mean, I need to keep up on how it's different now, but student debt was like one of the few things that you could file for bankruptcy, you could die, and someone else will be saddled up with your student debt. You could not do anything about it.
Wow.
Which is like,
That's
I mean,
ridiculous.
that's violent.
Yeah, like
That's
even if
not
you're not
cool.
here to pay it, you've got to pay it. Somebody's got to pay that thing.
Someone needs to
like-
throw hands to whoever has the system locked in. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
on,
education
No.
system in the United States has
Fuck
never
that.
been the best. Like
No, we have a lot of work to do. And I think that is one of the good things about the pandemic is that just like how we've had a lot of art stem from it because people had enough time to sit and think and read things and communicate. I mean, Twitter, there were so many like 1 million likes, like liked posts about, and I'd never seen that before where people were really rallying behind things.
Yeah, I think last
I think we
year,
have the potential
I
for
think
that kind of
last year
change now.
opened up the, like people's eyes to a lot of things that they never considered that much before.
Didn't have the time to
So,
consider it. You're so exhausted working all the time.
system.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a deep talk. Right
And now I know.
I'm
this
like,
got
we're in the
dark.
system, bro.
We're in
This got
the system,
dark,
You
dude.
just take a step outside.
We're in the
you
matrix.
know, run away into the woods. Don't have a Go have a tiny house or something.
It got a
No
little
mortgage.
dark, but let's bring it back. Let's bring the energy back up.
Yeah.
right?
Oh, the energy! Oh, crap! Yeah,
No,
people
I'm
are all
just like-
depressed now. It's like the 100
People are
listeners
gonna
are like,
watch this and they're gonna be like,
Damn, I have so much student debt.
bro. I know.
I'm
Okay.
so fucked.
No, but at the same time, let's do something to change it.
Right.
And
you have an album coming up.
yeah, people. No, and I think that's the
listen to
important
her
thing.
music to get through it.
Exactly.
Art is huge, and you can make a living off of art. I think that's the most important thing. You can make a living off of it. It is possible, and you don't have to get a huge. You don't have to. You don't have to put yourself in debt to get a degree
Don't be
to do it.
discouraged thinking
Yes.
that you can't. Because you
Reaching
definitely
out.
can, yeah.
Reaching out is huge. However, if you do have a degree and you are in debt, let's rally up and get it the hell out of here.
Right.
Let's work
Make the
on it.
government pay that shit
Yes,
off.
yeah. Let's DM me. Like we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
The other thing, and we're getting closer to wrapping up right
Yes.
here, but I wanted to maybe ask, and you can say no,
Okay. Yes.
right?
Oh no. Oh no.
Are you being sus now?
No.
How is this?
You can say no, but since we're getting closer to wrapping up and your album is coming up, would you be comfortable sharing a little bit of like a song, like a little snip,
I mean, yeah.
like a little bit, like
ooh,
maybe like 10 seconds, 5 seconds?
like a recording or like
Yeah,
a
like one of the songs that's gonna come out.
A little preview.
A little preview for the people. Come on, I feel
Okay,
I feel like the people deserve a little preview.
Absolutely. I think so. If you sat through.
Right. I
We
feel like
figure a
an
good
hour, over an hour.
Like an hour and
man.
20. So if you sat through this, you deserve a preview.
You
You
definitely deserve a
deserve
little
it, man.
preview.
Yeah, okay. So, songs that I haven't released. Actually, one of them, the second one is called Lobotomy with an IE, and it's kind of, that's actually why I,
saw
have
your
this
hat,
hat.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, there's Midsummer, and that has my friend Daniel Echo. There's Designer Flu with my friend Sydney rapping on it. There's Nick. There's Stereotypic California. And
Oh, put that one. Put that
This
one.
one?
Yeah.
This one's gay, man.
That sounds cool.
She said this was gay, man.
Oh, man.
Just a little bit of it. Don't spoil it too much. I'll shut up. Look at that. I like the guitar.
When you chopped off your hair, cross my fingers, you're a player. You know what I mean. Couldn't blame it on the drinks.
Is that you singing? Wow.
Not before we were teens, keeping eyes to me. And my hands tied separately. Our giggles low key. People ask.
I think
That's
that's
all
pretty
y'all
good.
get.
I think that's pretty good. You're gonna have to
was
wait
generous.
until
That
Monday. Right? Yeah, I was like, oh, that's going on for too long.
We're over here just listening like,
Right.
okay.
I was like, yeah. I was
Hell
feeling
yeah.
it. I was feeling it. I like
Nice.
that.
Absolutely.
That sounds
Yeah.
great.
I
Thank
can't
you.
wait for the album to come out.
Did you by any chance get any influence from Red Hot Chili Peppers for that one?
Not for,
No.
I
Have you
mean,
heard
I listened to them.
Have you heard Californication?
Oh, of course. Oh, okay. Californication, yes.
Yeah, who
For the
doesn't,
name,
right?
yes.
Okay.
I don't.
The
yeah.
beginning of it almost reminded me of like their melody they play in the
a little
beginning.
bit?
Maybe that's. I think they might have subliminally influenced me. You know,
Maybe.
like you know how people plagiarize without realizing they're plagiarizing, where there's like a. Yeah, they get in trouble. They get sued for copyright infringement. And it's like, I didn't know that
yeah,
I was
like, my
thinking
bad.
of this.
No,
Like they steal a lyric.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it like sounded exactly
Oh, no,
like
no, no.
it,
But influenced.
I heard it a little bit. I'm like, that sounds like some influence. Yeah, and then especially
Sounds
because of the
dope.
name.
Yeah,
so.
it sounds great.
I want to hear about all that because I'm like, I don't know, man. I
Right.
don't know what I sound like.
We're
That's
gonna
kind
do
of
a
one of the
breakdown.
things when you're a creator, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you make something and you're like, you don't even know if
Yeah,
it's
we're
good
gonna
or not.
give you
just
the
made it.
we're
you
gonna
know?
give you the album breakdown after we listen to
I'm
it.
gonna
Please, God, please
Yeah, we'll definitely
pick it
will.
apart.
I'll definitely pick my favorite, share it on everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram and everybody. Yeah, so everybody can go check it out. And then, if you don't mind, maybe plugging your IG
Plug yourself
or
in.
socials
Oh.
or wherever they can find
Everything.
you. Everything.
Absolutely.
We got one more plug.
One more plug for the people at home. So we got Instagram, which is just at Elucyd, but it's spelled ELUCYD.
There you go.
For the crazy people, we got a Twitter,
Oh,
which is
shit. You're in the
Elucyd.
dark arts, huh?
Oh, dark.
You're
Like,
in the dark places.
do not go to Twitter if you don't know
Yeah.
yourself. If you're not very comfortable
Yeah.
in your body. So yeah, that's just Elucyd with an extra D. And if you look up Elucyd with an extra D. Yeah, that's Twitter. But we got, if you look up Elucyd on YouTube, on SoundCloud, on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you want to, typically it'll come up. You can also Google me at elucydstudios.com, and that is my website. So
Sweet.
you
Awesome.
should have everything up to date.
Gotta love it.
Awesome. Make sure you
That's
guys go
great.
check her out.
Yeah, check her out. We're definitely
Album is
looking
coming
forward to
in
the album coming out.
Thank you.
March. Is
6
it like
days.
when? When is it? Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yeah,
Thursday?
Tuesday. So
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
we're 6 days out. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
All right.
Dude,
We're super excited. Honestly, like I really am.
thank you.
I need like a new music to listen to.
Yeah, I'm always looking for new
Yeah.
stuff too, so I'll definitely
got
keep
you.
an eye
I
out.
get-
No, I'll just like text you songs. I have like 1,000 of them. So I'm
Oh
just,
really?
if you ever need more songs, I'm like, dude,
Yeah,
this isn't
dude.
good, but I'll send it.
Hit me
Send
up.
the link. Send the link.
Send the link. Dude, this is so fun.
I know, right? I'm glad that you came, and you're
Yeah,
super
no, thank you
fun.
for
It was
coming.
super fun. And
Likewise.
Great conversation.
yeah, we definitely
know.
wish you the best with the album coming out and everything
Thank
that you
you.
do afterwards. Maybe come out with some more albums.
I will do that, but only if we can go do some photo shoots or something. Get,
Hell yeah,
get our
we will.
Hey, I'm telling you
artist
that meetup's coming.
meetups. Yes,
That
yes.
meetup's
I
coming.
want to be
we'll
there.
make it happen.
I'll plan it out. I'll work out all the details. I'll be in charge of picking location and all that.
All right.
But I'll try to get as many people to come. So
Sheesh.
Be
All right.
so
That
good.
sounds like
probably
sounds like a plan.
May or June if you guys want a time frame. So,
Yes.
Yeah, I'll
That would
probably
be
look
good.
into May or June.
And honestly, I'm a listener now, so if you guys just keep
Uh-huh,
mentioning it
thank
in
you.
like your weekly updates, I'll just be like,
I'll make sure I go follow you
Stay
like on
tuned.
Instagram too.
Yeah.
Through my like actual Instagram,
Yeah,
not just
for
like
sure.
the page.
professional.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and then like
I
you know,
like that, though,
you can
too.
you can keep an eye out for it. But yeah, like I said, I'll probably announce it a good amount of time ahead, like out, just so people can plan for it and everything.
Awesome.
Perfect.
All right,
Yes.
well, thank you for coming once
Yeah,
again.
thank you so much.
It was
guys.
fun.
Super
This
nice
is
to
so
meet
I
you.
fun.
was about to start recording, but we made it. All right. So see you guys next week. We'll announce it, or yeah, we'll talk about.
Just wait for the
yeah.
guest.
Thank you guys.
See ya.
that's
Thank
Bye.
When you chopped off your hair, cross my fingers, you're a player. You know what I mean. Couldn't blame it on the drinks.
Is that you singing? Wow.
Now